Hey everybody, it's your girl Nefarious, and today we are going to do a brand new sew along called Nancy. Nancy is definitely one of the fancier bags we are going to do. It's also one of the more intermediate bags we're going to do. She does get a little thick, so make sure you got a hammer on standby, but she is definitely the fancy one. So we're going to do some top stitching, so for some like stand out sides. We've got these corner connectors to make it like spot. We've got rolled handles going on. I've got children trying to kill each other up top, upstairs. We do have one pocket on the inside. This is a bird's bag, but if you wanted to make it a drop-in lining, you absolutely could. So this bag does come out in at roughly 12 inches wide, 11 inches tall, and about 4 to 4.5 inches in diameter. And without further ado, let's jump right in. All right, general tools that I am going to be using include my awl, some double-sided tape. I've got multiple sizes here. I've got 1/8, 1/4, and 1/2 inch. I've got marking tools. I've got various ones. I've got a pair of snips. I've got an X-Acto knife. I've got a turning tool. Got my lighter, just in case. A ruler, this is from More Me Know. I've got my rivet guide. Got my hole punch. And I've got my clips, just in case. I kind of was like, I'm missing something here. These are my general tools that I'll be using throughout my video. So we're going to be making the Nancy today. For the Nancy, we're going to need to have 2 D-ring connectors with 2 1-inch D-rings. You're going to need to have about 10.5 to 11 inches of number 5 nylon zipper tape with a zippered pull. You're going to need to have 4 1-inch rectangle rings. You're going to need to have a bunch of rivets, approximately 14 to 16 sets. My brain is failing me right now, but I feel like it's about 14 sets. You're going to need to have your 4 strap connectors, and then there are 8 corner pieces that look like this. I suppose I didn't have to lay them all out, but I did. So you need all of those pieces. Then you're going to need to have your 2 side linings and your 2 side exterior pieces. I went ahead and I found the centers at the tops and the bottoms. You're going to need your zipper pocket. You have 2 of them. You're going to need to have your inside main lining. This is a pretty decent size piece. Let me zoom out a little bit. There we go. So you can get an idea of what that looks like. It's pretty decent. So you need just one of those. You're going to have 1 bottom and an exterior piece. Then you're going to have a front panel and a back panel. On the front, back, and bottom pieces, I went ahead and found my centers at the tops and bottoms. And on the bottom panel, I went ahead and found the centers on the sides as well. On this main lining, I found the centers at the short ends and in the middle. So that's some pre-work that you can go ahead and get finished. And then you are going to have 2 handle straps. So I want to go ahead and get the handle strap part done first. Probably the trickiest of the whole bag. What I want to do is go ahead and draw a line down the entire center from one end to the other end. So it'll look like that. And then I'm going to grab some of my 1/2 inch double-sided sticky tape, and I'm going to go right on top of that line. Just like this. I'm going to pull this off. Oh, by the way, have clips on hand because you're going to want them. I'm going to take this side to match up toward this line and repeat for both. You're going to do that up until you get to these notches because we got to do something special at these notches. And I'll show you when I get there. when we get to these notches, you want to try to fold it in to match up towards that center line. So as you can see, it starts to curve in. That's what you want. Now I'm going to fold this side over to this side. You can use some double-sided sticky tape to help you if you would like to. You're going to want a marking tool of some kind to make your life just a little easier. I'm going to throw just a couple clips on here. These are not going to stay, but they're just to help us a little bit. I'm going to grab a ruler, and from the edge of the, from just one edge here, I'm going to measure up 3 to 3 1/4 inches. And I'm going to make a mark on both sides. Like so. And I'm going to repeat for the other side here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to the machine and I'm going to top stitch this. I'm going to go down, across, and back up. And I'm going to stop at these marks that we just made, and I'm going to repeat for both sides. But before I do that, I'm also going to work on my D-ring connectors. So as you can see, I found the center of my D-rings. I'm going to slap a piece of double-sided tape on here. And now I can take these to the machine as well. So I'm going to take the D-rings and this start of my strap to the sewing machine. Since these are hidden connectors, I'm going to go ahead and back stitch really good at the beginning and the end. I am sewing these at 1/4 inch. Alright, these can go away for a little bit. I am going to top stitch these. You can do 1/8, you can do 1/4 inch. It's entirely up to you. All that matters is you start at the mark that you made and back stitch really good at the beginning and the end. And we can go back to the table. At this point, you're going to take the clips off, and what we want to do is we want to fold the folded edge and the exposed edge here together. Now, you may find that one side's a little bit easier to fold together than the other, but that's the idea. You want to fold them together. And yes, you are going to want clips. If you had wanted to, you could have just started at the 3/4, gone around, and then you could top stitch this down and then continued. Or you could just leave this as is and fight it. But if you top stitch this, when we fold it, you need to top stitch right back over that. So just decide on what you want to do, because you want to make sure that lines up very nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and I will top stitch this one, and then I will fold it over and, you know, line it up and then I'll do a version where I don't top stitch it and fold it as over, and you can see what both versions look like. So let me go ahead, top stitch this over, and then come back and fold it for you. So here, this is completely top stitch. Now what I'm going to do is I want to find the side that's going to fold the easiest. I know that sounds crazy, but trust me, there is some kind of logic to it. It looks like this one's going to be the side that folds the easiest. And then I'm just going to go down this strap, and I am just going to fold these two together. I wonder how many of these plastic clips I'm going to end up breaking today. I've been on a kick breaking all my clips lately. So this is what it looks like. Now what's going to happen, now you could absolutely take this and, take a hammer to it, flatten it down a little bit, make it a little easier for you. It's going to be a little thick. That's my one warning here. But this gives you that really pretty rolled handle look. I'm going to take this to the sewing machine, and I'm going to drop it at the end of, so I'll use this side as an example, where I finished the top stitching here. That's why it was I wanted to get that done. I'm going to start where I started here, and then I'm going to stay in my top stitch theme all the way down, and then stop over here so that I am just securing what I have folded. So let's go do that real quick. So I'm going to start on the folded side closest to the stitching, and I'm going to top stitch this down. I will back stitch at the beginning and the end. You're going to want to trim up your threads, and you have your rolled handle. So these are those straps I was talking about. So this is the one where I went ahead and I top stitched and then sewed over that top stitching. You can kind of see where I have the double threading here. This one is the one where I just folded as is, and there's only one line of top stitching. Hey, get. Okay. Now what you want to go ahead and do is on the ends here, you have two options. The first option is from the edge here. You can take your ruler and you can make a mark at 1/2 of an inch, and then another one at 1.75 inch. And you can hole punch those two areas, like so, and lose your piece there. That's option 1. Or option 2 is you fold this in half like so. Then you flip it to where this is facing towards you, and you want to lay it flat. Then you can eyeball it, but you want it to look about 1/2 inch, or you can measure with the ruler about 1/2 inch up, right in the center. and you're going to use a hole punch to poke a hole. Whichever method you do, you want to use the same one for all 4 of your handle pieces. So that's just my one caveat, so that they are all the same. Now, even if you do this method, they do come out to be about the same measurement. So it's still about 1/2 inch and 1/75. So it's about the same. So we have these can be set to the side for right now. Your strap connectors. What I recommend doing is using some Decaville Light and Decaville Heavy, or something that's got a little bit of girth to it, because what's going to happen is you are going to put your rectangle ring here, and you're going to be pulling on this with your strap. That's going to wear this out really quickly. So what I like to do is I like to apply something with, some extra stabilizer. So I'm going to be using some Decaville Light today, but I probably would recommend some Decaville Heavy or some heavy stabilizer to be applied here so that it doesn't go anywhere. So that is my first recommendation. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that. All right, and as you can see, I applied it right over that center area. Once you do that, you can go ahead and slide your rectangle ring on, like so, and repeat for all 4 of those connectors. I might go ahead and use some clips to help hold this. Okay, now you're going to want to grab your panels. Doesn't matter which one we start with. And you can eyeball it. Where does this look the nicest? Personally, I like to make sure that I'm at least an inch and 1.75 inches from the top. So then once I'm there, I'm going to put myself at 4.5, and I'm going to see if I like that. I kind of like that. So that's probably where I'm going to put it. I'm going to grab me some double-sided tape, and I'm going to put it on the back side here. Take the paper backing off. Now what I'm going to do is, this is 4.5 at 175 down. I'm going to line this flat up under that 1 inch mark. So it really makes it like, 3.5, but that's fine. So that's done. And then so I can make sure that that doesn't come off, I'm going to add another piece of double-sided tape to the inside. And it's going to work, and it's going to work very well. And I'm going to line those all up, and they're going to be perfect. Yep. So then I can do that same exact thing for the other 3 pieces. So now this can also join the front panel. Now I want to grab my side panels. And so if you haven't, make sure you found the center at your tops, because I thought I did and I didn't. Now what you want to do is you're going to measure about 2 inches down from that center mark, and then you are going to draw a 1 inch line. Like so. Repeat for the other one. I'm going to use an X-Acto knife, and I'm going to cut that line. So with this piece facing up, I'm going to take one of our D-rings and I'm going to slide it in to that slit we just made, and it's going to go about 1 inch. So grab my ruler. Yep, that looks good. And what's going to happen is at the sewing machine, I am going to sew 1/8 of an inch above the slit on this D-ring between these two lines, securing it back and forth, backstitching really good on that. And I want to repeat for the second side here. Between those two lines, and that's where I am going to sew. So we'll start with the sides first. They're a little bit easier. Just drop my needle right on the top stitching that we made previously, and then I'm just going to go back and forth. Like that. Clean this up because that's a hot mess. I can go back to the table. Now we're looking at our connectors. You are going to want to start right here at the corner, and you are going to top stitch all the way around. Now you could leave your threads long, or you can back stitch at the beginning and the end. It is entirely up to you what you want to do. And now I'm going to go back to the table. So we're going to start with the front panel. What is wonderful is that Alex went ahead and included the markings for the rivets. So you can go ahead and punch those out. And you can set your rivets. And then I can set these rivets. Repeat for the second panel. Then I'm going to grab my side. I'm going to thread my D connector on, and then I'm going to slide this one edge that didn't get sewn through down the slit that we made. And these will line up fairly well. There you go. And then what you want to do is about 1/4 inch under that slit, you're going to make a mark, if you so choose, right in the center. And then place a rivet. You can set that one. And then repeat for the second one. And now all your rivets can be set. So we're going to have our bottom panel and our front and back panel. We're going to line up the bottom centers, and we are going to clip to secure. So that can sit at the sewing machine and wait. Alright, this is the one that's a little crazy, but bear with me. You have a choice if you want. You don't have to do this next step. The idea of this is supposed to go on the finished corners. So if you don't want it to be doubled up, you don't have to. But if you do want it doubled up, you're going to want to do this step. So you're going to take 4 of them. You're going to apply some double-sided tape. Just like this. I'm going to take that backing off, and then the 4 you didn't double-sided tape, you're going to line up those edges, just like so. And what you're going to do is we are going to take these to the machine and we are going to top stitch those together. So I'll set those by the machine. We need to draw our zipper box. So you're going to flip this wrong side up. And I need a slightly bigger ruler. So you're going to measure a line 1.5 inches down from side to side. I'm going to move my ruler 1/2 inch down, draw their line. Then I'm going to measure in 1.25 inches, and then repeat for this side. And that gives me my zipper box. Now, I'm going to bring my main panel over with my small but mighty ruler already. I like to place some double-sided tape where I know that zipper box is to help hold this in place. And being that this is waterproof canvas, I don't want to poke any holes. I'm going to move my ruler up to 1.25 inches, and then I'm going to line my pocket up right there. And because I have some double-sided tape, not where it's supposed to be, there. So now I can sew my zipper box down. I'm starting with the main lining. I'm just going to sew on these lines that I've already drawn. I'm going to backstitch at the beginning and the end. I'm going to give it a snip, and then I'm going to cut this. And I'm going to get as close to those corners as I can without actually cutting the thread. And then I personally like to fold my waterproof canvas towards the pocket. Makes it a little easier to turn it out. And then I'm going to poke it through the hole. Just like so. Now, if you didn't want to do the zipper, you could absolutely just close this. No, I'm sorry. I lied. If you wanted not to do the actual zipper, you could just attach the second panel. You would leave this open, but you could attach the 3 sides. But since I am doing the zipper pocket, I will set this to the side. I'm going to sew this down at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Then I'm going to flip this down so that the seam goes towards the bottom. And then I'm going to top stitch. I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. And you can set this to the side. These I'm going to leave my thread long, and I'm going to just top stitch around these at 1/8 inch. And then repeat for the remaining ones. I'm going to go ahead and put my zipper pull on my zipper tape. Then I'm going to use some double-sided tape. In this case, I'm using some 1/4 inch, and I'm going to apply it to the edge of the zipper tape. Going to pull this off. Pull this one off. And then I'm going to line my zipper pocket up over the zipper teeth. And then once I get this where I want, I'm going to leave my threads long, and I'm going to top stitch all the way around this zipper box, securing it to the lining. You're going to take your side panels and you are going to line up these corners here. We are going to sew these darts, and you're going to repeat that for both of the side panels. Alright, so there's the side panels for the exterior. But you also have the same thing for the lining, so you're going to want to repeat the exact same thing on the lining. So now we can take all of those things we just put together and go back to the machine. I have my threads long, and I'm going to top stitch around this zipper box, securing the zipper teeth to the main lining. If you don't have it with you, go ahead and grab it. You can grab your opposing lining and match that up. What you're going to do is we are going to sew the 3 sides together. So you're going to sew this short side. Ignore this drawing because that was a goof on my part. And then we're going to sew this top part. And then we're going to sew the opposing side. So we're going to sew these 3 sides. We're going to backstitch really good at the beginning and the end. We're going to leave this open. Now let's work on our darts. You're going to start on a flat side. You're going to give it a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and you're going to sew towards the point, just like this. And you're going to do that for all of your darts. And with that, we go back to the table. So here I have the lining, and I have our 2 side linings as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put right sides together, and I'm going to match up those center points that I found. And I'm going to do that for both the side linings. And then I'm going to match up the top of the lining to the top of the side lining. And then I'm going to repeat for the opposing side. And then I'm going to clip all the way around on both sides. So when you get all clipped up, you want to make sure that your darts were pushed in. It'll make it nice and pretty and round. And so this is what it should look like when it's all done, said and done. All right, so I'm going to set this to the side so we can get ready for that. And then I'm going to grab our exterior, and we are going to do the exact same thing to the exterior. Going to go ahead and flip our darts so that they are facing right side out, like so. And then I'm going to go ahead and start clipping. What's really helpful is when we are lining these up, the seam of our dart should match the seam of the bottom of the main panel. One more tip is, since these corners match up, you want to go ahead and press them in opposite directions. We have this one going towards the bottom. Press the dart seam to go towards the top, and it should all lay very nicely. So here is the exterior, all sewn up, and all clipped up and ready to be taken to the machine. Now the exterior, we are going to sew the sides at 1/4 inch. The lining, we are going to give it a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So both will be 1/4 inch. I'm going to backstitch really good at the beginning and the end on both sides. You can set the lining to the side. Now I'm going to do the exterior. Now I've been prepping you for this bag to be a birthed bag, but if you wanted to, you could absolutely make this a drop-in lining bag. It's entirely up to you how you want to go about doing that. It is your bag, so do as you see fit. I'm going to be continuing this as a birth bag method, so I'm flipping this right side out, and by this I mean the lining. And then I'm going to slide it right into our exterior. And then I'm just going to match up all of our landmarks. So all the center marks, the corner marks, I'm just going to match all those up. After you get clipped, I'm going to stitch this together at 1/4 inch seam allowance. Once you have gotten this bag all together, you're going to use some heat, and you're going to turn this bag inside out. Oh. Once you turn your bag inside out, you're going to want to fold it to where you're able to clip, because we're going to turn around and top stitch this. So you want the seams really nice and crisp, and you're gonna clip that down. In addition to that, you don't want to close this pocket up right away, and the reason is that you want to make sure your bag is really nice and pressed. We are also going to be top stitching these sides. So what that means is when you push this bag out, your darts are going to look a lot like this. Okay, so they're going to be bowed out. We are going to want to make those darts pop in. So I'm not closing that pocket yet until after we get the sides top stitched. So first things first is I'm going to top stitch the top. Once you get that top stitched, now you are going to want to fold in your seams. So starting at the bottom, using clips, I'm going to put my hand through this open pocket and I'm going to push that seam allowance out so that I can get my hands on it. And I'm just going to clip all the way down the side here. And you're going to do the same thing for both of these sides. When you're doing your top stitching, it might be easier to go ahead and take a hammer to some known thick points. So like here at the top, and then especially over here in the bottom seams, I would take a hammer and make sure you hammer those really good. Then we are going to top stitch all the way around and then come back. We're going to start and stop in both these corners on both sides. Get this top stitched all the way around. You can go ahead and close up your pocket, which is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to close this pocket up. I just fold over the pocket 1/2 inch and then I line up the rest of it and give it a good clip with a really good stitch. Excuse me, I'm going to sew this shut, back stitching really good at the beginning and the end. And then we'll be able to wrap this bag up. So we are now at the point where we can pretty much wrap up this bag. So one of the things that we need to do is we are going to fold our bag at the corners like so. And what I like to do to help myself is I'm going to put a clip pretty far back, and then I'm going to grab my connector, looks like this, and I'm going to fold it like so, and it's going to go over the corner. You want to make sure you're pretty even. Now, you could add some double-sided tape. Let's see if we can try that. Where's my double-sided tape? Room's kind of a mess at the moment. So I'm going to slap some double-sided tape on here. All right. And then I'm going to just fold it over like so. Make sure I'm even. And then with the guide marks, I'm going to put a hole in that. Then I'm going to insert a rivet, add my cap, and set. So that's what that looks like, minus the thread sticking out there, but we can clean that up later. And then I'm going to repeat for the other corners. So your connectors, you want to make sure that they are even, and that when you do your hole punch, it does go all the way through. When you go to attach your handles, you want to make sure that the seam is facing towards the inside of the bag, and then you will slide your raw edge through, fold over, and then attach your rivet and press it. Then you will keep your raw edge up, or I'm sorry, you'll keep your seam up, and then repeat for the other side, and then you will flip it over and do the same. Once you do that, you have completed Nancy. I want to thank you for sewing along with me as we made the Nancy. She is a little stubborn, that's why we were rating her an intermediate. She has thick spots, but that's okay, so do I. But we absolutely love her. She's got these fancy connectors, some rolled handles, and she brings a lot to the table. I am so excited to see all the artwork that Kim and Alex launched for her. I also know she's going to have a mini-me coming soon, so be on the lookout for that. And I can't wait to see all your Nancys out in the wild. When you post, make sure you're tagging K&A Custom Fabrics and, of course, your girl Nefarious Magic Hat. If you like this content, make sure you like and subscribe. And for now, ta-ta, and I'll see you around.